Ready to rock and roll once again here on a Friday night. Thank you so much for tuning in live right here on Vidane TV, all over the place. We're on the Vidane TV Facebook page, the Vidane TV YouTube page, and over on my personal Twitch, twitch.tv/Strictly94. Big time shout out to Lennox_RL for the follow earlier on over on Twitch. He's in this race. He said, may as well give us a little bit of a follow here at Vidane TV. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the broadcast booth, and I did not come alone. Full house up here. Kyle Young, Rowdy, Wesley Hogue hopping up here one more time. Baby, the band is back together. Kyle, I'm excited.
As am I, Paul. It's really cool to get back into the Vidane TV booth. I don't think I've been in here for a full show since the middle of June of last year. So to knock the rust off, end that streak, and to do it with you and Wes should be a really entertaining night. 94 laps here at Talladega Superspeedway. We're running 1987 Cup cars. Wes, you and I, we've actually been running a bunch of these in the official series this week. So I think it'll kind of help us out a little bit to have a lot of behind the wheel experience to talk about what these guys are going to go through tonight.
You know I have to do it, right?
Oh, he's got to do it. He's got. Well, how long's it been?
To Vidane TV. Oh, Jesus, it feels good to get that out of my system. It is great to be back up here in the booth with you, Kyle, with you, Paul, and Kyle. You hit the nail right on the head. We've been doing these all week long, right from the seat of the race car. We can give you a little bit of depth turn-by-turn analysis of how these cars handle, because I'll tell you what, guys, these cars handle like nothing else on this simulator, and you're going to see these guys do something we typically do not see at a super speedway, Paul, and that is lifting on corner entry. 94 laps. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, these guys in the Nexus Sim Racing League here with the Motor City Legends have been putting on a heck of a show here on Friday nights here live on Vidane TV. Here for the Doorstop Nation 250 presented by the Family Pancake House. Two of my favorite sponsors that we've had here. We love all our sponsors and everybody that helps support this thing that we call sim racing here. But doorstopnation.com. Click on the little Etsy link and get for Doorstop. Man, they're only $1. Check them out. Joe's a big-time supporter, long-time supporter here of Vidane TV and sim racing as a whole. But how about it, Rob Collier, the points leader? He's going to be leading everybody down to that start-finish line, to the restart zone. And these drivers wait. They wait. They wait. They wait just a little bit more. Barney in the flag stand finally sees these front two cars, Hendricks and Collier. Hendricks, a little bit of information from Mark Martin on Twitter earlier on, but the green flag flies. We're racing here at Talladega for the Doorstop Nation 250.
Fairly clean start as they get their way up through the gears for the first time and through turns 1 and 2. Now, these cars, they are not restricted. You're going to see speeds a lot faster than what you do in the real-world NASCAR series, anywhere from 210 to 225 miles per hour if they can get a good enough draft. Right now, that outside line is showing some speed. They've got the advantage. The 15 of Hendricks will drop down to the inside, lead that way through 3 and 4.
Coming down that long front straightaway, and everybody knows the story with Talladega. The start-finish line all the way down at the end of pit road, past the end of pit road, heading on down into turn 1, crossing the stripe. That time, Hendricks going to lead the very first lap at this one, but a long ways to go. 250 miles here around the virtual Talladega Superspeedway. And these style of cars, this style of racing, at this style of track, you couldn't have picked 3 better guys, I think, in the broadcast booth. Well, I'm not very good, but you guys, you made mention you've been running these cars at this track all week long, and it's not quite as easy to get up and maybe bump draft and push the guy up in front of you or kind of work with anybody around you, because these guys are a lot to handle, aren't they, Wes?
They really are, and you're going to see these guys get really tight out of turn 2. You're going to see them loose on the entry of 1 and 3. These cars handle completely different from what we're used to here on this service at these super speedways. We're typically used to, flat out, just keeping the pedal down, lifting here and there to make sure you don't bump the guy in front of you. But as these tires wear and gas starts to burn off, these cars get a little looser in the rear end, a little harder to turn on exit. Oh, and at the same time, if you bump someone the right way, which isn't hard to do, you can really send them for a ride. So it takes a little bit more technique, a little bit of a different skill possessed to run these 1987 Legend cars here at Super Speedways, as we see that 0-2 of Collier getting the lead, but the 15 of Hendricks really doesn't want to let it go, Kyle.
No, he's showing a lot of aggression here early on, showing that he wants to be the Pied Piper to lead the way and log some laps up at the front of the field. Whoa, we got one a little sideways there. The 94, he's on the apron, slides up the 26s into the 74, and we're going to stack a couple of them up here in turn number 2. Into the outside wall goes the 24. A couple more cars spin down to the inside lane, and that was one variable, West, that we didn't mention yet, and we just saw it right there. That apron, very, very difficult to touch that apron and keep control of the race car. You saw that there with the 94 of Nicholas Presley. He got the apron, and it all broke out from there.
Man, Shane Gentry with nowhere to go had to move up the track in his 26 machine to miss the 94, and avoiding him, he collects James Slyke in the 74 machine, and after that, the 98, the 46, the 5, the 24 gets damaged. Even the 70 of Matthew Yost gets a little bit onto him. The 9 of Stephen Downton, almost a whole field, the 48 of Derek Miller. Only a couple cars really get away from that scot-free that was behind them. The 87 of Ghost gets caught up into it. So quite a bit of the field caught up in a big one early here at Talladega, Paul, as we're going to cut to a replay to take a look at it.
Yeah, just looking at the U-House Racing Designs instant replay here, and you can see a lot of the drivers up towards the front of this mess, able to gather things back up. A little Floridian slip there. But everybody was able to gather it back up towards the front, but the 24 and the 5 back here just stuck in the outside safety barrier, not able to get freed up until the caution flag flew. You can see the 48 car getting down and around there, no problem. Looks like the 24 car, big-time damage for the Justin Poole machine. Going to be down on pit road to see if he can get the virtual sheet banged out of that thing.
How many times are you going to make some Florida mistakes here? I'm glad you compared that mistake to Florida. That's great.
Freudian, not Florida.
Oh, I
Same
thought you
thing,
said
I
Floridian.
suppose.
You throw that choice of recreational play with Florida, it kind of goes hand in hand. But nonetheless, as you were saying, half the field caught up in this, and that's another thing about these cars, Kyle. And we've learned this week is it's not just as easy as getting on the brakes to miss an incident. These are brakes from 1987. These aren't your large carbon Brembos or anything like that. They're just some old ceramic. You hit them and you hope you stop.
Yeah, it definitely makes locking up the fronts impossible, but it also makes slowing down very challenging. So your reaction times when things break out here at Talladega, they have to be precise, because if you are just a tad of a second late, you're going to slide too fast into the back of somebody or into a crash.
And you can see about half the drivers coming down pit road. Seven drivers staying out on track. I struggle with the English language every now and again, and it seems to be one of those nights that we're struggling just a little bit extra harder there. But you can see lights on in the iRacing pace truck. Kyle Hendricks staying out. Rob Collier, Nick Pressey, Bryce Saucier, and Matt Steven currently the top five. Terry Freer and Justin Poole. Actually, Justin Poole going to be the first driver off pit road. Looks like it might have been actually came down involved in that last incident, so he's going to end up starting towards the back.
All right, so usually the way this goes and what we learned from this week is, especially if you have a small field, only 15 drivers in this race, typically you have an accident and everybody seems to kind of just dial it back a little bit after that accident. You got that out of the way. If you got one fast repair in this race, if you used up your fast repair, now you really want to dial it back. Only a couple cars in this race that possibly did not have to use theirs, but here's another edge of that sword. These cars will take a beating. You can Mike Tyson 1-2 punch them as much as you want. You get that damage fixed all the way, they're like good as new. It just shows you these cars were just much better back in the 80s. But nonetheless, they can take a beating and keep on ticking, or whatever the saying is.
Yeah, unless you get yourself involved in a serious crash, a major impact into the wall, you end up getting upside down, doing a few barrel rolls or anything like that. Chances are you can go on with a little bit of contact and a little bit of adversity throughout your night. So as you mentioned, Wes, we do have one fast repair for these drivers. You want to try to use it sparingly, and especially with as tough as these cars are. If you get into something minorly, there's no point in using that fast repair. Even if you have a minute and a half worth of damage, get that car fixed, save the fast repair. Yeah, maybe you have to be a little more aware of your surroundings, and while you're driving, the car might get a little free, might get a little extra tight depending on where the damage is. But if you can keep that fast repair in your back pocket for more securable time in the race, it's going to be a big benefit for you later on.
Kyle, a little bit more problem with the James Slyke machine in the 74 heading down into pit road just moments ago. He actually lost control, locked up those brakes, turned it, and slapped into the inside wall down pit road, and he is still struggling. So that 74 machine is just not the way you want to start a race. Slyke is definitely behind the 8 ball coming out of South Carolina.
Yeah, certainly a rough go of it for him here. Hopefully he can get things figured out and caught back up to the field before we go back to green, which it looks like we're going to do this time around. And yes, we will. The lights are off on top of the iRacing pace truck. It is still Kyle Hendricks at the front of the field, Rob Collier in position number 2. Third place runner, Nicholas Pressey in the 94. I believe he was actually able to save that race car despite being the one that kind of started all of that mess. Bryce Saucier in car number 07 is going to be 4th, and Matthew Steven will complete your top 5. This restart will come at the completion of lap number 7, so we still have 80 some odd laps to go.
Lots of laps here on the docket, and an interesting dynamic here. Single file restarts as we get them lined up behind that iRacing pace truck. Lights off, and we're getting ready to go racing once again. And a single file restart, everybody up on the outside line here at Talladega, gives these drivers at least a little bit of an extra moment or two to kind of think about what they're doing on the start and how they're going to get up through the gears and make sure they get up to speed before they have to start worrying about some of the other competitors around them. But they're still doing that at a high rate of speed in a car that's very, very difficult to handle. There goes the pace truck. He's going to make that hard left-hand turn down the safety of pit road, going to grab himself a corn dog on a Coke in the U.S. Air, number 15 of Kyle Hendricks, going to lead him on down the front straightaway. Once again here, Rob Collier, the points leader, running away with the point standings, and the P2 guy, Nicholas Pressey, right there in the podium spot as well. Waiting till we get the green flag once again, and we go racing at the Doorstop Nation 250 here at Talladega.
What is a little bit different about this this series of racing, the style of race compared to what we're used to, is these single file starts, which adds to the accordion effect that we see. It's hard to be side by side and get that racing going, and if you mess up on a start, you can easily lose this draft. As you see, most of them are still single file, but up front, that number 2, our points leader, Rob Collier, trying to work his way up through it, but you can see the 0-7 here came flying up behind in the sauce here. It's very easy to lose that run. So a little bit of battle up front here. The 94 of Pressey was looking to the outside of Hendricks. No go as we coming out 4.
Top 3 cars, single file, slight little breakaway there from 4th on back, and now we're going to race for the lead. Nicholas Pressey will drop down to the inside of Kyle Hendricks, looking to lead lap number 8, and he will barely. Now he's got a little help from the 0-2 machine of Collier. They're going to leave the 15 of Hendricks out to dry on the outside. Help is coming, but it's a little ways back with the 46 machine of Terry Freer trying to get up there to the back bumper. But despite that, Wes, he's actually doing a pretty good job hanging on his own on the outside, and I think he's got the advantage going down the back.
As he does, that 94 had a bobble as the leader through 1 and 2, hit that apron, lost a ton of momentum as now he's stuck in a 3-wide situation, trying to find a hole to catch a breath, but it's really hard to do so. You really have to be up on the wheel on these 1987 cars, as the 94 of Pressey is learning here as he's able to finally file in, cool down that right rear tire a little bit and regroup as the battle for second. Rob Collier is under fire from that number 46 of Freer, but now Collier looks to the lead as he looks under the 15 of Hendricks into 1 and 2.
Doing a little side-by-side, 2 rows deep here. Collier looking for the race lead inside of Hendricks, side-by-side for second with Terry Freer, and the car behind Collier is Bryce Saucier in the number 07. Well, we got one a little sideways going into turn number 3. That is the 9 of Stephen Downton. He gathers it up, keeps it pointed in the right direction, and we will stay green. They didn't really lose a ton of momentum either. Kind of separated from the field just a little bit, some more gaps in between the cars, but they keep it going straight and with this lead group, so that'll be a big benefit to them. Get reassured, calm down a little bit, regroup, and hopefully make a better charge here later on.
That 26 of Gentry is really pounding on his back door, is what made him get a little sideways there. If you're gonna bump draft somebody, you really have to hit them square and hard. You can't just kind of creep up on them. You can't just try to nudge them, because you're going to probably catch them in the left or right rear, and it's going to get them a little loosey-goosey, as we saw. But this battle for the lead starting to heat up between the 15 and 0-2. You wouldn't think it was just lap 11 of 94. These guys are racing each other really hard, which, again, I want to bring it up again. Tire wear. Tire wear does become a factor here. The harder you are, the worse those tires wear, the quicker they wear. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens as we move on through the race, as those two continue to battle pretty hard up front.
And I think one of the interesting things about the tire wear is that it handles so much differently depending on which end of the corner you're at. If you're going in on corner entry, especially if you got somebody tucked up right up underneath your back bumper, it is very loose. It is so hard to paint the yellow line around this racetrack without some type of natural arc. Whoa, big sideways, 26 car, slipping and sliding. He's trying to hang on. Is he going to do it? I think he does, yes. He has to use all kinds of room on the apron, but what a save by Shane Gentry. Keeps that Buick pointed forward. He's going to lose a lot of positions, may fall off. Yeah, he's definitely going to fall off the lead draft here. He's going to have a few guys in the back of the pack to draft with, but that could have been so much worse for Shane Gentry. A very impressive save.
As you were talking about it, Kyle, he demonstrated it. He got super tight off of the turn 2, slapped the wall over, when he not even overcracked, just yanked that wheel to the left and put himself on a roller coaster ride he was not ready for. But great save as we saw there. And now as we see the tire wear began, we start seeing this field start to spread out. The little groups breaking up. We got the top 3 together. You go a little bit further back, you got 4th and 5th. Further back, you got 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th together. And then even further back, you got the 5 of Southmaid and Derek Miller in the 48. You got those two battling it out. So as tire wear continues, so does the separation of this pack.
Yeah, Gentry certainly demonstrated the opposite side of the tire effect. I was mentioning how loose it can get on entry, but it can also get very, very tight on exit. You really got to be careful feathering the throttle through the corner and knowing that when you do mat it, you are going to stay out of that outside wall because it is very difficult to stop that car from pushing once it's on its way to the wall. And even if you are able to do it, you're going to lose a lot of momentum, and that could drop you off the pack, stack up cars behind you, lose position. It's really a mix of two very different worlds. You do still see the typical super speedway drafting. There is still a pack. There is still guys getting slingshot runs and maybe trying to do a little bit of side drafting, but you really have to drive these cars. It's not just flat out mashing the gas.
We got a wreck in the back, Kyle. We got a wreck in the back. The 74 goes around. The 74 gets spun out coming off of turn 4. Once again, James Slick, his night continues to be a rough one as he, as it looked to me, he loses it off of turn 4 all by himself, able to regroup it. No caution, though. We stay green. Again, Kyle, we're talking about handling right there. All it took was a little bit of air taken off that spoiler, and around he went.
A very impressive save there by James Slick, but as we were just mentioning, he is now going to be on an island. Well, no, he does still have the 87 machine of Robert Gast right behind him, but those two cars on an island of their own, nobody around, over 10 seconds back from the little group of cars that are in front of them. So it's been a rough start for James. He's going to need to kind of settle in here, log some laps, see what that car is doing. As we mentioned, he was involved in that.
Kyle, another one. The 5 of Southmaid went around. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm out here watching for X. He lost it off of turn 4. He's back up and going, but way off the pace now is John. So it's happening, Kyle.
Yeah, as you guys can very clearly tell, these things are a challenge. You don't typically see drivers spinning themselves out on their own at Talladega Superspeedway, but these cars are completely different. They're fun to drive, don't get me wrong, but they are so hard. And honestly, that challenge is kind of some of the entertainment that you get with these things.
Kyle, we're starting to get a little bit more of a pack up front here as the rest of the field is starting to catch the 02 and the 15 as we have the 07 of Bryce Saucier able to get to their rear bumper, and in tow is Downton in that 9 machine, and not too far back is Terry Freer running that P5 in the 46, and in tow on him is Matthew Yost in that 70, and just a little bit further back is Justin Poole rocking the number 24 Jeff Gordon machine there. So we're starting to see it start to pack back up. The air changes, the way the aerodynamics change, the handling changes once you're in this pack. I'm interested to see how these guys handle it.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed throughout the week here with running some races is that the separation between these cars, it's easy to get, but it's also kind of easy to grab that draft and get back grouped up. You don't necessarily have to have as much drafting help as you would typically if you were running in a massive pack. You can find those runs on your own, grab the draft, make some moves, get back grouped up without really doing much more than what you need to for yourself.
Car in the wall, the 46 hits the wall, the 70 overcorrects to miss the 46. Still up and going is Terry Freer. Once again, we see turn 2 bite one of these drivers, and that actually showed something we haven't spoke about yet, is how it's monkey see, monkey do at this track easily. You watch the car in front of you hit that wall, 9 times out of 10, you're following him up there. The air just kind of grabs you and takes you up there unless you consciously realize what you're doing. You're able to lift or turn that wheel a little bit more to keep you off of it. But we saw right there as Freer was starting to catch that pack, unfortunately, that air change that we were just speaking about moments ago as we have a battle for the lead. The 02 Collier takes the lead.
Points leader Rob Collier going to make the move around Kyle Hendricks to take the lead here on lap number 19. He wants to put his Ford Thunderbird out in front of the field, get some clean air on that nose, and lead the way here for a little while. It was just a one spot swap. Hendricks will go back to second place, and that 4-car lead draft doesn't really lose too much. They're looking at about 3/4 of a second here back to Terry Freer after that issue he had off of turn number 2 a couple laps ago. There's 3 cars in that little group. It's Freer, Matthew Stephen, and Justin Poole. The lap to machine of Matthew Yost also there, so kind of a 4-on-4 battle here for these first 2 packs.
If I'm in that pack, I'm trying to line up and just create energy. Get as many cars as you can in that draft to catch those other 4. As you saw the 98 there of Matthew Stephen, just surprisingly, just much quicker than these other cars there. And I don't know if it's the damage that the 46 has or not, but he was able to get a really big run. So if I'm the 46 here, I sit behind that 98. I realize he's not damaged. He's got a good car, and I push. And it looks like that might be what he's doing here in 3 and 4.
Yeah, and actually, I didn't realize Nicholas Prussy is at the back of that group. So they actually have a 1-car advantage over that 4-car group right in front of them. And they're really not that far off. Like I said, they're only about 7 or 8 tenths of a second back. So if they can cooperate with each other just a little bit, kind of get on that back bumper of Matthew Stephen, maybe push him a little bit down the straightaway, he's going to be able to grab that draft from the back end of Stephen Downton's car, and they can probably take these 2 separate packs and make them one big pack of 9.
Matthew Stevens in a really good place to do that because the distance from him to 4th place is short enough where he's definitely getting an advantage right now from that draft, where Freer is able to just kind of get just a sniff of his, and then Jordan Poole right there. They're doing the right thing, not getting too racy, staying single file so they can catch that pack, and then going from there. And hopefully they're able to figure something out, and either they're going to cruise or we'll see what they end up doing. But just a quick note, the 74 of James Slyke has pulled it off onto pit road, but with no incident, I must say. But he may have worn his stuff out a little too much and had to already get some fresh rubbers.
Been a tough night for that 74 of Slyke. Right now, only 1 lap down, still sitting on pit road. I would assume that these guys run a lucky dog / free pass rule here under yellow flag. So with the way that the stop is going, he may fall 2 laps down, especially if we end up staying green flag here. That's good for Matthew Yost. He's 3 laps down, so this is an opportunity potentially for him to grab a spot. But just a rough night just continues to get worse for James Slyke and the 74 crew.
Quick note to make, that 98 machine of Steven was able to catch this pack. However, that 46 of Freer and Poole still lagging back. They were not able to lock to that bumper of Steven and get up to that pack as quickly as Steven was. It just shows how fast that 98 machine is. But nonetheless, they're doing the right thing. They're nose to tail. That 94 of Pressy's right there with them. They gradually, I think eventually here, you're going to see them be able to get enough draft to pull up, and we're going to have us a nice little pack here of about 8 cars. As I say that, the 24 goes around the 46, which may be the best thing. That 46 may have damage after hitting the wall.
Well, that was what I was just thinking, Wes. We saw the 98 of Steven able to grab that group in front, but wasn't really able to pull Terry Freer with him. So it makes you wonder if all that damage on the right side of that Buick is hindering him and his to gain with the field. Now that he's kind of in the middle of that group, it'll be interesting to see if he can still contribute to that draft push, and if those guys are going to have a better opportunity to run down the lead 5.
If I've learned anything from this week, is it's actually a harder to lead than it is to follow. If you have any kind of damage, you want somebody in front of you so you can just grab that drag. So I think this is the best case scenario for Terry if he does have damage on that car that is costing him some speed. So especially with how formed that top 5 is right now, they're not moving out whatsoever. They got big picture in hand, which we're seeing, and we're also seeing the 24. I can tell you now, he's running about a lane up the racetrack, and the reason being, he's losing the handle on that car, Kyle.
Well, we've been mentioning all kinds of different variables, and what I think makes it so difficult to lead, like you mentioned, is if you pay attention to how these guys are running. Yes, they're single file, but they're not running one consistent line. They're not right around the yellow line. They're not riding right up against the wall. They're kind of driving like you would most typical racetracks. They're right down on the bottom in the corners, and they're bringing it up to the wall in the straightaways. That's not something that you see happen here at Talladega. And like we've said, that all has to do with the handling. It's very hard to keep the car down on the bottom side of the track. And even if you are able to do that, you're scrubbing speed off the car. You're putting more pressure on the tires. You're wearing them away. You're heating them up. It's going to make it more difficult for you. So this is just, like I said, another one of those variables that makes it different from typical super speedway racing.
All right, so for just programming note here, a lap ago, we had the 26 of Shane Gentry bounce off the wall, off turn 4, go sliding through the grass, came back on the track. No real incident to anybody else except himself. We did not see the caution flag because of that, but he's going to be another one that's way off the pace, which is Gentry, over 28 seconds back from the leaders. If you're a Shane Gentry fan, that is why he's so far back now. So, and we've also heard from from race control that the track temperature hasn't increased by 4 degrees since the beginning of the race. Why is that informative, and why is it, is it something that we need to know? I'm sorry, I'm losing words right now as I'm watching this race up front get closer. That's some information that's pertinent, because as this track gets hotter, it gets slicker, and we're already seeing these cars slip and slide and get tight and can't come off the corners. The hotter it gets, the harder it's going to be to drive.
You're absolutely right, Wes. And you would think that 4 degrees, that's not too much. It shouldn't change a lot. Well, we still have a lot of laps to go. And right now, the in-sim time is in the middle of the afternoon. It's right around 12:30. So typically, as the day progresses and gets further into the afternoon, it gets warmer. It gets hotter. It's going to get slicker. So that's another factor that these guys are going to have to pay attention to as the race goes on. Currently reading a 124-degree track temperature for only being 73 degrees atmosphere temperature in the sim right now. So, and actually, as soon as I say that, it bumps up another degree to 125. So, as it continues to get into the later afternoon in the sim time, I would expect this track temp to continue to increase as well.
And you see that in real life, Kyle. You see track temps increase as drivers are putting down rubber, as the sun's beating on it. You see temps increase. And that's a cool thing that iRacing allows us to do, is to have this dynamic weather where it's not just one set weather type throughout the race. It will increase, it will decrease depending on how it is. Now, if this was a track that went into the evening, we'd probably see that number come down, but unfortunately we're not. We're right in the heart of the afternoon here at Talladega, Alabama, and if you're familiar with the South at all, it gets a little hot, and it definitely gets in. And talk about that 4 degrees, put your house at 75 degrees, and I want you to drop it down to 71 degrees. You see what a difference a 4 degrees feels just inside your home, let alone a paved racetrack like this. But Kyle, we got some battles going happen up front here. We're getting some runs happening. Looks like the 94 Presley wants to start making some moves.
Yeah, Presley was able to grab onto this lead draft. Looks like he left those guys that he was racing with behind. That was James Slyke. Oh, he's on the apron again and sideways hangs on to it. Learned from the last time. Got a little experience there from that first caution that we had just a few laps into this event. Looks like Justin Poole in the 24. He's probably going to grab this lead draft and pull on through, but I'm not feeling so confident about Terry Freer and Matthew Yost back there. Those two guys starting to lose momentum. As mentioned a few minutes ago, Yost is a handful of laps down, Terry Freer battling with some damage. So I think it's becoming kind of clear at this point, Wes, that 46's damage is definitely doing him a disservice.
For sure, and we are here now from the driver's channel that the leaders are planning on pitting here. And this is what Freer needed. Freer needed this pit cycle. Now, here's the thing. This is a green flag pit stop. You can't take the time to fix your damage. So do you just keep on dealing with it, or do you use that quick repair? That's kind of a dilemma that you run in here to. And he's going to have a decision to make, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But as we're coming through 3 and 4, almost all the leaders have announced that they are pitting. This is not easy. This is not an easy pit road whatsoever. So as they come down turn 4, let's see how it goes. We got quite a few of them diving on down. So far, so good. We're looking clear. A little bit of contact. The 9 gets into the back. Oh, man, the 9 of Doughton gets into the back of Bryce Saucier. Bryce bounces it off the wall, keeps it straight. No caution, but definitely some damage to that 07 of Saucier, and possibly a unsafe pit entrance. We'll see how iRacing handles that. And the 5 misses his pit road of John Southmaid.
You just mentioned it, Wes, how difficult it is to get on, and you saw the issues there. Locking up the brakes, trying to get that car slowed down, sliding sideways, getting into the car in front of you, getting into the wall. Another mistake on pit road. The 24, Justin Poole, he overshoots his pit stall. So at a super speedway, under green flag conditions, every little incident that you make, every little mistake that you make on pit road is going to have a big impact coming off. Looks like the first car to head on out is going to be the 5 of John Southmaid. I believe he's off the lead lap, but he's going to come
94
out.
is in the grass. 94th in the grass, Kyle. I'm sorry. Coming down in the pit road, Pressy off the track. Matthew Stevens bounces it off the inside wall. Boy, oh boy, all these guys are just, these drivers are not having an easy time. It's almost like they didn't practice these green flag pit stops, because usually, you get a caution to pit under. I don't think they were expecting this green flag run, but almost every driver except our top 2 of Collier and Hendricks had issues going into pit road, Kyle.
It's going to be very interesting to see how this field regroups once they get back up to speed and out onto the racetrack with the plethora of issues that we have seen. We'll get it back onto the racetrack here. You can see this two-car group riding around turn number 4. I believe that's Kyle Hendricks and John Southmaid. Indeed, it is. Hendricks came in, I believe he pitted in position number 2. I don't see any other lead lap car really in the vicinity of him. He is with the lapped machine of Southmaid all by himself. So this could have worked out very well for Kyle Hendricks if he can get up to speed here, use the draft from the car in front of him. He might be able to put himself kind of in the lead by himself.
I agree, Kyle. And Rob Collier, who I thought pitted with him, but may have not. I'm not too sure, but Rob Collier did not have the best stop. He's going to be coming out quite a bit, either really far ahead or really far behind the 15. Actually, Rob is being shown 9th now. So something happened on pit road to Rob for him to be shown 9th. That might not have cycled through yet. We're trying to see it. Yeah, he is P9, threatened to go down a lap right now. So something definitely happened to that one car. While we're waiting, I'm going to see exactly that 2 car. I'm going to see exactly what happened, but not a good pit cycle for Rob Collier in that number 9 or that number 02.
No, that is not good at all. He lost a ton of time on pit road. And like Paul mentioned at the head of this broadcast, he is the points leader. I believe, Paul, you also mentioned that that we're at the second to last race of the season right now. So he had an opportunity, I would assume, to lock up this championship one race early. And now that's kind of at risk at the moment, being so far off the pace and being all around by himself. Looks like Kyle Hendricks is starting to pick up a few other cars with him, some lapped cars. There's a pack of 3 right in front of him. He's still running in third. Actually make that second. Robert Gast is out in front of the field right now. He is in that 3-car pack right in front of Hendricks. He should be able to catch him and will probably take the lead here very soon.
Kyle, I'll tell you now, watching it, for one, I know that the 02 Collier went in there over 70 miles per hour. Pit road speed here is 55. So there's no doubt he got a speeding penalty. Plus, he put the right sides in the grass, so there's a chance he got an unsafe pit entrance. He was in his stall for a long time. So there's a pretty good chance he caught a penalty, had to sit there, had to go through that penalty. And unfortunately, you see the effects of it now. This is virtually taking him out of it for now, as he sits 7th place, the last car on the lead lap.
Yeah, and what also isn't good for him, he's only 3 seconds ahead of this lead group. There's 5 cars in this group, and he is all by himself. So give it another lap or 2, and he's probably going to fall a lap down. Now, the good news, if there is any, is that he also has some cars in this pack that are a lap down. So obviously you don't want to lose track position to anybody, but if he can get in this group when they come to lap him, he may be able to even race for his lap back, as you're seeing Nicholas Pressey do right here. He's getting help from John Southmaid. They are passing the 15 of Kyle Hendricks. That is to get them back on the lead lap. There's definitely a risk there, racing the leader as a lapped car, but Kyle Hendricks is the only lead lap car in this group. Everybody else is a lap down, so why not race for your lap back? You've got help.
I agree, and Robert Gast in the 87 finally coming down pit road. He's been sitting second for the longest time now. He's going to finally take it down. But here is the downside to that for the 02. All these guys are getting around the 15. They got a lot of momentum getting around the 15. Now, once he gets passed by the 15, he needs to hopefully he can hurry up and get in line and stay that first car down a lap. This is going to be a really, really touchy situation on how they can work this out. The 5 comes up and wrecks him. The 5 takes out the leader. The 5 takes out the leader. Southmaid loses control all on his own on the apron. Comes back up, slaps the leader straight in his grill. Big wreck. The 5 barrel rolled down the track, still stuck on his side. Our leader, the 15 of Kyle Hendricks, with white smoke blowing out of it like he's got a doobie hanging out the window. Big complications here for Kyle Hendricks in the 15.
And just like that, everything changes. In a pack of his own, as far as lead lap cars are concerned, a mistake by the lapper, and the 15 machine is in severe trouble. Paul, it's super speedway racing. It can always change in a heartbeat, and it sure did there for Kyle Hendricks.
He's still stuck on his side. The 5 is.
Gonna have to get one of the push trucks out there to get that 5 car back on all fours, but holy cow. Kyle, you took the words right out of my mouth. Anything can happen in racing, in a sim racing world. And check this out. On the U-House Racing Designs instant replay, you can see Hendricks up top, the 15 car, making it work on the high side, and a couple of lap cars down on the bottom. We saw the error. We heard about it. It doesn't even look like they touched there, but there you can see the 5 car definitely touched the 15 and the outside car, or the outside wall. And man, that is a hard hit. Couple of flips. What's that? 1, 2 roll, 3, 4. There's a quick one, end over end. That's pretty cool. Stuck on the driver's side of that race car. How about that?
And we're going to have an opportunity here. We're going to catch up real fast with Mr. Hendricks himself as he's brought into the booth. Kyle, do you got a copy?
Oh, yeah.
Kyle, you are minding your own business in the corner, doing your thing. One of the only cars on the lead lap. Then all of a sudden, right across your face is the number 5 machine. What happened?
Well, from my perspective, I saw him get loose down on the apron. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. And I'm just minding my business. Then I get taken out the door. Looked like you had 4 or 5 cars there trying to get back on the lead lap or be the first car, and just kind of overdrove it.
Man, you had the 0-2 of Collier where you wanted him after a pit road penalty. You had him in your crosshairs, putting him down a lap, which was huge, him showing to be your biggest competition this race. However, things not seem to be. Obviously, you have to use that one quick repair early in this race. Does that change your strategy whatsoever?
Yeah, very much so. Usually I would just kind of stay up front and then save that quick repair for usually the chaos at the end, but now I really can't do that, so I got to think about what I'm going to do now. But with Rob, that's my teammate, so we kind of have a Russ Wheeler, Cole Trickle relationship here where we're trying to one-up each other. So we'll see what happens, but I'm definitely going to be a little more patient than I probably normally would be, not having that fast repair in the pocket.
All right, Kyle, we're going to let you go here. Tough break there, but knowing how hard you've driven, how smart you are behind that wheel, we think you'll be able to bounce back. Good luck for the rest of the race.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
All right, and that was Kyle Hendricks. Kyle, such a tough break for our leader, but thankfully for that fast repair.
Yeah, you're definitely blessed to have that, but like you mentioned, now you have to manage it. We're still yet to get to the halfway point in this race, so now you have to go more than half of this race without your safety blanket. You've got to be careful. I know things happen so fast here at Talladega, but if it is possible to be more aware of a situation like that upcoming, he's going to have to try to do it. Clearly, he has one of, if not the best race cars here today. He's got a great opportunity to go to victory lane. Now he's just got to manage that race car, keep it intact, and hopefully make it to the end to be able to contend for the checkered flag. So as we wait for things to kind of cycle out, finishing up here, a handful of the lead lap cars coming on down for pit service. It looks like we've got a couple cars that are going to stay out and take advantage of the wave around, the 74 of James Slyke and the 26 of Shane Gentry. That is going to put the 10 machine of Kevin Clark in the race lead for the first time tonight. New face up there. Stephen Downton is going to be in position number 2. Terry Freer is 3rd. Bryce Saucier is 4th, and Derek Miller will complete the top 5. So now we got some new names and some new faces up at the front of the field. Guys that haven't necessarily been leading this field in this race. They're in a totally different position. They're not following. They're leading now. What are these guys going to do at the front of the field? How can they handle the pressure of leading instead of following? It's going to be interesting to see now that we've got some things mixed up here and some new cars up at the front.
Especially with the way this draft changes from the front to the back. Honestly, to me, it's easier to drive in the back. You're able to just kind of control what your car is going to do by judging what the car in front of you is going to do. You're able to let off points where they're letting off. You're able to just kind of flow in a nice function. Now you are leading that pack, and if you don't have the experience up there to do so, that front end acts a little goofy compared to what it does when it's actually behind somebody. So Kevin Clark is going to be your leader. Stephen Doughton's going to be 2nd. Terry Freer catching the big break there. He's going to be 3rd. Bryce Saucier 4th. 5th will be Derek Miller. 6th is going to be Robert Gass. 7th is going to be Justin Poole. 8th is going to be Rob Collier. Definitely big break for him, as now he is in front of the Kyle Hendricks machine in the 15, who's going to be running 9th. Funny how that works out. And then 10th is right now James Syke, and then 11th being Shane Gentry. So, and in pit road right now in 12th is Matthew Stevens at that number 98 machine. Not sure if he's just topping off real quick. And then unfortunately, James Southmaid in that number 5. I think he probably already used his fast repair. Good chance he has a toe that he had to take the toe because he was stuck on his side. So he is still on pit road. And Kyle, it's got to be 3+ minutes at this point. This has to be more than just toe. This has to be damage as well.
Yeah, it takes a while to tow your way around the Talladega Super Speedway here. So as we get ready to go back to green, going to take a miracle to get John Southmaid back into this event. So we'll see what Kevin Clark can do up at the front of the field. Lap number 39 will go in the books. You can see the field kind of scattered around a little bit. Green flag goes back into the air, and we are racing once again here at Talladega Super Speedway. The 9 of Stephen Downton going to go immediately to the top, trying to block the advance from Terry Freer. I think he's going to be successful in doing that as they get into turn number 1, but he's going to try to use that momentum to take the race lead away from Kevin Clark.
Possibly a little bit of inexperience up front there. That 10 just leaving the door wide open on this start here for the freight train to come by. Maybe the Kevin Clark machine has not been the leader often on these restarts, but nonetheless, he's letting the entire pack basically go by. This might be a decision as well, Kyle. We've seen it a couple times where we just wanted to go to the back and let things kind of work its way out. We didn't want to be part of it. Could be part of that as well, but we are 2 by 2 throughout the pack, and definitive leader, Terry Freer, going from basically the worst to the best case scenarios with that caution. Looks like he got that damage fixed. One of the top drivers again out here at Talladega.
Yeah, that right side of that machine was beat up quite a bit. Makes you wonder if he used his fast repair to get that car fixed up. But he is now at the front of the field. Downton is all over that back bumper. Nearly makes contact. Nearly gets onto the apron. They all hang on and keep it pointed straight. You're riding on board now with the helmet cam from Stephen Downton. Looking out at Terry Freer, trying to find a way around it. Down the back straightaway. Got a line of cars on the outside. That 70 machine that you see, that is actually a lap down car. He is not on the lead lap. He's trying to get one of his 2 laps back the good old-fashioned way and up through the middle. How about Rob Collier in the 0-2?
Rob Collier showing why this championship is his, as he makes contact with Freer and everything all spinning grass.
Double barrel!
Oh my God! There's death in the 46! Holy crap, we got one on his roof! That is Downton's on his roof! The 46 is stuck in the fence! He's stuck in Kyle Larson it! All up in the... He's stuck in it! We have a fatality at the start-finish line at Talladega! Holy cow! Ladies and gentlemen, does Calamity corner in the Trioval? The 0-2 of Rob Collier threw on his cape and said, we are going 4 wide in the Trioval, makes contact with the 46 of Freer, who touches the 9 of Downton, and they both synchronized die across the front stretch. Nobody else involved. That 46 just straight up, spaceship rocket straight to the moon, and I'm aiming right at you as he barrel rolled up into the catch fence, sends his right front quarter panel up to row 9, sliced some woman's jugular. NASCAR is going to get a call about that. But nonetheless, the 46 has completely demolished his race car, hanging on top of the wall. Needed to call a tow. The same thing with the 9 machine. Ladies and gentlemen, a moment of silence as we stop here on the front stretch out of turn 4, as we remember the memory of the 46 machine before he comes back with his toe. My Lord, what a race we are seeing. Cautions not only breed cautions, they also breed funerals.
One of, if not the most entertaining and massive wrecks we've ever had here on Verdane TV. Folks, we're going to watch, we just saw the onboard of the 46. We're going to watch the onboard of the 9 car. Keep in mind, this is at quarter speed, 25% speed on the playback here. We're going to speed that up. There's the contact, and you saw the onboard with the 46. Same deal with Stephen Downton going upside down once again. Doing a little agricultural racing on his roof there. Crazy action here at the racetrack. How do you even follow that up, Wes?
Look at Hendricks missing that. Can we go full speed, full board with the 46? Look at that! Look at that! Look Look at that pirouette. We need to go on board with the 46 machine and play that full speed. If you've eaten lately, close your eyes here because you're about to throw up. This is crazy. 46, not 15, 46 machine. If we go on board with him, my God, what a wreck for the Mr. Hendricks to miss there. But let's go with Freer here, full speed through this wreck. You'll see that he has nothing to. He can't see it coming. He just goes and all she wrote. Oh my Lord. That's ouch. And he's still trying to turn the car. Look at that determination. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to try to grab. It'll be nice to grab a word of the number 46 as Freer tries to make his way out of the infield care center. They're checking his vitals. Somehow he's still breathing. Here he is, Terry Freer here, back from the infield care center. For the first thing I need to ask is your hair okay?
I think so.
All right. So what, man? We watched the replay over and over again. Fatality. You Kyle Larsoned it into the fence. Walk us through what just happened.
Well, I would actually say I didn't Kyle Larson it. I Bobby Allisoned it. Because I'm driving an 87 Buick at Talladega, and I put it in the fence in the tri-oval right before the flag stand. So,
it's a good thing that we have the safety that we have of today in these 87 cars, or that could have been much worse. Do you have a fast repair left?
No, I hit the wall a long time ago, and it said I had wheel damage, but I didn't have a meatball flag, and so I used it in those green flag pit stops we had, because I didn't want to sit there with required repairs, and because I didn't know how bad the car was. And
man, tough break, bud. While we have you here, do you have anybody you'd like to give a shout out to and thank?
Yeah, I was hoping to put a good show on for my family. Me and Shane have and Matt Yost, we have emblems on our cars for my Uncle Dave. We lost him in a car accident over a month ago. So that's why we have that on our car.
I'll tell you this, Terry, for the time that you were out there, you drove the wheels off that thing from the front to the back to the front. I think that caution came out at a vital time for you to get that damage fixed, and unfortunately a victim of just circumstances here. But nonetheless, you may not win this race, but you put on one hell of a show, and you have definitely given us you have given us a reason to clip a part of this race. So awesome attempt here, man. We're going to put you back down there.
All right, thank you.
All right, and we have an accident under caution, folks. Not exactly see what happened, but looks like Nicholas Pressey having some internet connections and caused an accident under caution circumstances. So unfortunately, there was a wreck under caution. Going to try to see exactly what just happened. I'm just looking back. Oh yeah, he disconnects, comes back up as the 48. Ooh, the 80 next into him. The 87 got a little bit of damage from that. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to catch that replay though, seeing that he disconnected, so it may not show up for us. So the 87 does have a little bit of damage because of Pressey losing connection. But man, this went from one of those races where we had to fill time to the point where I'm having to fill my glass. Wow. This is crazy, Kyle. Are you back yet, buddy?
I think I'm okay, Wes. Wow. I don't even know how to put all that into words. Typically, we see when these things get spun around backwards, they lift off into the air and they fly. But you put them into the grass and they somehow get super grip, and both the 46 and the 9 got super grip and they flipped. The 9 might actually be able to continue on in this race. I see that he's a couple laps down right now, but I think he just flipped over and kind of slid on his lid. Not the case there for Terry Freer. He is DUN done for the night. So now that things are, at least I believe, kind of sort of calming down, we have the 07 machine of Bryce Saucier in the race lead. He's got it over Justin Poole in position number 2. Robert Gast is third. Rob Collier, who was just making all kinds of moves, and well, he may have been the one that kind of caused all of that mess. He's in 4th, and Shane Gentry now in position number 5. Looks like we've got 8 cars on the lead lap as we're going to get ready to go green this next time by.
Hi, boys.
And we got a quick word here with Mr. Doughton. All right, so the first thing is the car fixed? Did you have a fast repair to use?
Actually, I didn't need it. No meatball, no nothing. Just gave me a little bit of a hood or roof damage. But actually, we had to delay the caution because of Nick had an internet loss failure, and as he failed, or when it caused a bunch of people to get some damage, we extended the caution to let people go down and get their stuff fixed. So we'll be going racing shortly.
How about a testament to this car? You not only blew over, you landed on your roof, you had to tow, and yet you didn't even have a meatball.
Nope, no meatball. Still got the fast repair, so this car's been a top 3, top 5 car all night. I'm gonna try to put it back there.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's what happens when you buy things made in America. That Buick Lancer is solid.
You mean my Dodge Lancer?
Dodge Lancer, Buick Lancer. It could be a Ford Lancer at this point. That thing is a laser beam. But you were a victim of circumstances, as we saw the Collier just kind of shooting up the middle, try to make room, and unfortunately you got caught up in it. But we're about to go green here. We wish you the best, and hopefully we'll talk to you in victory lane.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, so that was the driver of the number 9 machine. As you heard, that car is A-OK after everything you just witnessed. So, again, if you're on the iRacing service, you've never raced these cars, if you're contemplating a next car to buy and start racing, this is the car. This car is awesome to race, awesome to drive at all different tracks, not just Talladega. I raced these cars for the first time at Atlanta. I won my first race just because they were so fun to drive. They kind of fit my driving style. Nonetheless, pace truck is off. We are back green here at Talladega.
A great start for your front two, Bryce Saucier and Justin Poole. They kind of separate themselves from the field a little bit. You see a little damage on the front end of the 87 there of Robert Gast. He is going to get hung out to dry on the outside line. Rob Collier going to get some drafting help from Shane Gentry. They will move into positions 3 and 4, and the door is still open for Kevin Clark to try to fit himself back into the top 5.
All right, as you see here, that the number 15 of Hendricks is trying to move his way up through there is Kyle Hendricks. He doesn't want to be anywhere here in the back. He's been involved in a couple accidents that weren't his fault. Well, that last one I shouldn't say he's involved in. He missed it narrowly. He doesn't want any part of that. He's trying to get back up in the front where we see Collier in that number 2 machine pushing his way back up too. And I'll tell you what, he's doing it all on his own as Justin Poole and Bryce Saucier have nothing for him. Now the 26 of Shane Gentry says, you know what? I see this. I'll raise you one, and I'll move up here with you. As now he's side by side for second, pushing the 0-2 Collier to the front to the first place.
He'll take the lead and drop down to the inside line, leaving Shane Gentry out there to dry. He's going to have some help kind of coming up to the back bumper here momentarily. Whoa, look out, Kyle Hendricks in the middle, door slamming the 70 machine. They hang on. Hendricks will go down to the bottom lane. That could have been ugly, but everybody's going to keep it going. No issues there, but a scary moment for Kyle Hendricks, who, as we saw, Wes, he was involved in a crash, lost the fast repair, had to dodge 2 flipping cars in that last crash, and almost saw his race go up in flames right there.
Kyle, with it being lap 46 and 94, and if I'm in his shoes, I'm not going to race as hard as he is, but it just shows the confidence he has in that race car and his abilities to handle it as he's pushing hard on that outside. And even though he's alone, you're going to see him start making some ground, and that's because there's no restrictor plates on these cars. It's pure power. So when those cars in the bottom are starting to check up, he's able to keep going and keep that momentum going. You're really able to make moves on your own, as we see, again, a move for the lead here is the 26 of Shane Gentry, putting pressure on the 0-2 of Collier. As we already heard, Collier and Hendricks are teammates. Don't really see that 15 helping out the 26 here, but you never know. Not really teammates much when it comes to leading here, as you see 3 wide for the lead. Hendricks takes it down the middle. He takes it to the lead. Number 15, Kyle Hendricks.
Back to where he was his strongest. Kyle Hendricks recovers, and he is back in the race lead just beyond the halfway mark. Lap 48 goes in the books. Look out, Shane Gentry pushes up the track, nearly door slams Rob Collier, but they will stay off of each other. Hendricks now in the lead by a few car lengths. They're side by side behind him, trying to make that bottom line work a few cars back is Kevin Clark. He's got help from Steven Downton.
The battle for for the lead rages on. We're not even halfway yet, I don't believe, or we're just getting to that halfway point. Just shows you, even halfway in a 94-lap race, these guys will push to the final limit, no matter what lap it is. They are 2 by 2 heading down through this dog leg. And Kyle, a little bit of information for the viewers. This tri-oval isn't as easy as you would think it would be in any other car. It gets slippery, it gets slimy, especially as these track temps begin to rise. It's not as just turning that wheel to 1130, basically. You're battling it. And if you get to that farthest low line, you're turning right most of the time on exit just to keep it straight. So at no point are these 8 guys able to relax in these cars.
No, not at all. Not at all. You would think that tri-oval would be of some relief. Look out, Shane Gentry almost turning Kyle Hendricks in the left rear corner panel. My goodness, for, 44 laps to go when we get to the start-finish line here. These guys are racing hard. We've just seen a couple big accidents, but it doesn't seem to be phasing them. They are going after it right here. And it's making things exciting for us up here in the booth, but you got to think about the longevity of the race. In order to finish first, you got to first finish. You have to be there at the end of this thing. And who knows what we're going to see here in this second half of the race with all the action we've been witnessing.
Paul and Kyle, it's much harder to get down into turn 3 than it is 1 at these speeds. Turn 1, you a little bit of that speed scrubbed off by that tri-oval. Turn 3, you are full bore, as you see here again. Gentry gets sent down into the corner. The 24 pole really sends him. The 15 of Hendricks learned his lesson on trying to pinch him here, gave him all the room in the world, make sure there isn't an incident. You probably won't see that in about 30 laps, but for now, he'll give that room. That now leads the freight train here in the bottom around that 15 of Hendricks, but the 10 car now of Kevin Clark moving to the outside, but turn 1 isn't as much of a handful. It's still a handful, but not as much. But you'll see it when they go into 3 and 4 here. They'll lift a little bit more than they do into 1, just because of all that energy that they're carrying down into the corner.
That's a really good point, Wes. Something that I didn't even really think of is that tri-oval, you do scrub off some speed. I was just paying attention to Kyle Hendricks. He was 213 going into turn number 1. He's just about 217 going into turn number 3. So a few mile-an-hour difference there going into turn 3 would be straight backstretch. Riding on board Kevin Clark, he is up against the wall and in it sideways. Look at Mountain, he's sliding. 48, and you get a live look of a crash right inside the car. I think they're going to keep it pointed straight. No, he's going to go back into the wall. Still straight. The 48 is still straight. No caution, but the number 10 Dynaco machine is all sorts of destroyed as it limps its way into turn number 1.
Like the dynos, he is now extinct. Coming through turn 1, that car just took a lick. You saw him bounce off the wall and did what we typically see, ricocheted. 48 was there, unfortunately, an innocent bystander, but they kept it straight, so he stayed green. The 10 still struggles, but back up front, Gentry's now under fire from Poole and Collier for the lead as Collier descends Gentry in that corner. That's something you can do here at 217, 220 mile an hour. You push someone in that corner, all that energy pushes them just straight up the track, and you can just move right under him. So what a move there. The 0-2 of Rob Collier definitely knows his way around here as he and his teammate Kyle Hendricks work on the bottom of the 26 of Gentry as one of them's able to get around. Here comes Hendricks on the bottom on 1-2.
Gentry, the lone man on the outside lane, 4 cars down on the bottom of the racetrack. Looks like he may have a hole behind Hendricks if he chooses to take it, but everybody's going to drift up to the wall, and now it seems like Kyle Hendricks is the man looking for a friend down low. Steven Downton kind of straddling both lanes there. He is trying to get himself back onto the lead lap. He is the first car 1 lap down. He's in position for the free pass if the caution were to fly, but if he can get to the front of this lead pack, he'll be back on the lead lap and wouldn't have to worry about that. So you got to be a little bit patient, a little bit intelligent racing with lead lap cars. You don't want to be in their way too much, but of course he still has something to race for. And like he said, he didn't have to use that fast repair after going upside down, fixed the car, got it all settled, and it's still looking pretty competitive despite the wacky ride that he took not too long ago.
Update on the Clark machine at number 10. He did end up coming down pit road, completely servicing his car. We saw Gentry get tight off of turn 2, give up that second spot, smack the wall, keep her straight. Let's see if that ends up having some kind of hindrance to him. We've already seen it before with the Freer machine of smacking the wall, having a hindrance to him, having to use a fast repair to fix his machine, and then getting caught up in a really big accident. So that's going to be one to watch with Shane Gentry. But again, it shows it. Another thing to mention, again, with the handling. trying to change lanes in the middle of the corner is almost impossible without losing 10 to 15 miles an hour, and you still might slap that wall. This is a completely different beast compared to what we usually see racing at 185 miles an hour at Talladega with a restrictor plate. Seeing 215 plus, just full board, it's a whole different ball game. Its battle for the lead continues.
Collier now will look to the inside of Kyle Hendricks. He's got help from Justin Poole and Stephen Downton. Hendricks is hung out to dry on his own. Collier takes the lead with ease. Poole will go by for position number 2. Downton is going to try to cycle his way on by. Now Shane Gentry is going to go to the middle lane and try to help out the 15 car. 15 is going to get a little bit of a side draft off the 9, trying to drag him back just a little bit. He's got some good momentum. They stay side by side, and he's going to pull ahead and around Stephen Downton. So he'll take the 3rd spot in line here with this lead group, as we just gained 2 cars on the back of this pack. Matthew Yost has brought the 07 of Bryce Saucier with him. So now we have 7 cars on the lead pack. And yes, you're also going to have a battle for the free pass, as both Stephen Downton and Matthew Yost in this group, and 1 lap down.
Paul, if we can go in-car on any one of these cars up here going through the trial, well, maybe the 15 there. Let's go in-car the 15. I want to see just how he is able to, if we go right there to see if we can just see how he's able to handle this race car through the corner in this trial. To kind of give an idea of what we're looking at as he drives it down into the corner. You see, it's like, he gets little out of hand. It's a full handful. Try to keep it out of that wall through that trial. And then here, right back off the accelerator. If we can lap with him, Paul, are we able to pull up his acceleration and braking? If we have that technology here, if we can pull that up to show the viewers his acceleration and braking. If not, pretend I never even said that. But you can just see as he fights this wheel, as he comes down into the corner here, you see the speeds over 220 miles per hour, down to about 202, 201, 200. Just unbelievable speeds here, down to 195, comes back up. Now watch him fight it here into the trial, puts it all the way down, and holds it wide open. Now, if tucked right up against somebody, that is really hard to do. Really good stuff there by Kyle Hendricks.
Now, you didn't really see it that lap, but the previous lap, you saw him kind of fight and correct that wheel back to the right ever so slightly. Those movements look very subtle, but I'm telling you, they feel very major. These cars, they kind of float on the racetrack. They're so high up off the ground. There's a lot of space under the car to the racetrack, that they just kind of skate all over the place. And those slight little movements, you have to be so precise, because they can also grip and snap in the blink of an eye.
Oh, and there go.
Oh, boy. Hendricks got all kinds of sideways there. Like we said, these guys are going at it. They're racing hard. And with that hard racing, you're going to burn off these tires, and it's going to become more difficult later on in the run. But like I was saying, these slight movements, I'm telling you, they are really, really trying to fight for control underneath of these cars. The slightest little movements can make big reactions and make things change completely unplanned.
Oh, hard in the wall. The 24 of Poole getting bit by turn 2. He didn't hit it as early as most do. It was a little bit further down the straightaway. But again, this is the first time, Kyle, that we've seen, a sort of a pack with this long of a run, seeing how these guys are able to manage this tire wear with this pack. Before it's just a couple cars here, a couple cars there. Now we got a good, several car pack going, and we get an idea of how these tires, how just the handling is with tires this ball. Now here is one thing you are noticing, especially in the trial ball. We keep on bringing it up because it's so unique. It is a late arc into that trial ball. Again, they're not painting one line or the other. They're arcing it in like they would any other track, and then arcing it back out to the wall. And they're not. Oh, there goes the 9 getting sideways in front of the 24. All of them go up the 07. Can he save it? Yes, he's able to do so. Wow, a little bit of the 9 gets a little out of hand there, coming out of 2. 24 makes contact with the 07, but we keep going. But nonetheless, in this trial bowl, they're not getting to the bottom right away in the beginning of that trial bowl. They're getting to the bottom towards the center of the trial bowl. If you get down there too soon, you have to put more input into that wheel, and doing so hurts your tires, and it also hurts the control.
So now after that little hiccup, we've got Rob Collier and Kyle Hendricks out in front of the field by themselves, 4-car group right here lined up at Shane Gentry, Justin Poole, Matthew Yost, and Stephen Downton. So a big scare there. Bryce Saucier, he kind of made some contact with the wall there. He's out on a world of his own, just trying to log laps here and keep that car underneath of him. But one slight little mistake like that, and we got things all sorts of spaced out and changed here as we continue on. Going to have 32 laps of racing left once these leaders hit the start-finish line. You can see them on your screen now. Rob Collier, the points leader, leading over Kyle Hendricks. They now have 2 seconds over that 4-car group behind them. Going to be interesting to see if that group can run them down here in the upcoming laps.
Kyle, watching this group, they cannot get formed. The 24 just passed the 26. The 70 going in the back. I think they're just trying to figure out right now, all right, who's going to be the fastest? Who can lead this group for us? And who can get us to the promised land? 4 cars should be able to catch 2, but those are 2 teammates up there, 2 really skilled teammates that are used to working with each other. Like we're seeing the 70 right now of Yost. Why are you trying to advance your position? I understand it's the lucky dog here, but you're just hurting yourself. If you ask me, you're hurting yourself at this point. That 24 can't do it on his own.
All right, Wes, so I'm going to take this opportunity to call these guys out. We heard Kyle Hendricks say that he and Rob Collier are teammates, right?
Correct.
So why in the world is one of them in the Monte Carlo and the other one in the Thunderbird?
I think just because they're teammates doesn't mean they have the same preference in vehicle. I'm just going to call that out. You know, some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla. Some people like salt, some people like pepper. You know, some people like fat, some people like thin. Some people like Monte Carlo, some like Buick or, Ford or something. This happens.
Very interesting little duo there for that team connection. And yeah, as you mentioned, you can see these guys are really racing it up and it's having an impact. They are now 3.5 seconds behind the lead duo here of Collier and Hendricks. So all the side-by-side and the position swapping that they're doing, it is hurting them from the top 2. And we saw how good Kyle Hendricks was on pit road. So if they don't reel him in, this could play right into Kyle's hand if we have to make another green flag pit stop, which it looks like we're seeing happen for Justin Poole.
Man, and Kyle, I'm happy to see this racing. As somebody that myself is very competitive against my own teammates, as you know, I like seeing these guys race hard. Just because you're teammates doesn't mean that you're just going to pull over. And we're seeing that here, that they're going to race hard, but also they're racing smart. Why race each other side by side when you can just put seconds on these guys that are behind you? And right now, this has turned into a 2-car race. As boring as that might be, these guys have done the right thing. The 70 of Yost is by himself. The 9 of Doughton is working his way up and around Gentry. But these guys cannot get straightened out whatsoever. And the 24 pit in Poole. So I'm not too sure why Justin pit so early. He took, normal 4-tire stop. Maybe he feels like this strategy will work out for him. Being by himself, we shall see. But right now, this is a 2-car battle.
That it is, and I think one of the other hidden benefits for these two is being by themselves. If we do have to make green flag pit stops, they have all sorts of room to work with each other, enter pit road safely and calmly, and not make a mistake. Remember, Rob Collier made a mistake on that first green flag pit cycle. He sped, he may have gotten off course on pit road, and he nearly went a lap down before that crash came out to save him. So having this extra space for a potential green flag pit stop could be the difference between winning this race or ending up outside the top 5. Because remember, less than 30 laps to go now. So I would think, Wes, that these guys are probably looking at one more stop if we stay green.
For sure. And I don't see why a caution would come out. Then again, I'm not going to put it past them because coming off of turn 2 is not easy for them right now. But everybody is so spread out. I mean, your biggest pack is 3 cars, and they can't even figure it out right now. You got 2 guys racing for the lucky dog who refuses to follow the other, and then the 26 is falling victim to it, which has to be super frustrating because he just wants to catch the leaders. Instead, he has this battle for the lucky dog happen in front of him, which isn't helping his case. And now you got the leaders in front of him by multiple seconds ahead. In fact, they are now 6 seconds ahead. And that definitely sucks if you're in the position of the 26, who just knocked the crap out of the 70 of Yost right in the rear bumper. I think he's had enough of this.
and that's going to cost them a little bit of time on Stephen Downton. Still fairly close to where they can reel him back in, but the cooperation definitely not working between them, and they just continue to lose time. And that's got to be frustrating for Gentry. The two guys that you're working with right now, they're lapped cars. You're not racing them for position. They're racing each other for the free pass spot, and you're kind of just the victim of circumstances, being the odd man out. He's now onto the apron, and I think he's going to make a pit stop here. Yost is going to come down with him, so these two guys are going to make a pit stop. Now they are going to work with each other, because you don't want to pit alone on a super speedway. Hold on, Gentry, going in there a little hot. I think he backed it down to pit speed, but that got a little close there. So these two guys going to make what should be their final pit stop of the race. Hopefully they can get in and out of their boxes smoothly.
Now, I know for sure that Gentry and Yost may be on the same team, as they've shared the same Discord, but at the same time, you know that it just had to been really frustrating, teammate or not. I've been in a position many times where a teammate just wasn't working out for the best of what my needs were. They had to put their needs first, so there's definitely some frustration there. But we're seeing green flag pit stops, our second round of green flag pit stops this race, which is always great to see here at Talladega, especially in this car, because it adds an extra element. We saw the last time the OT2 Collier got a penalty making a green flag stop, and because of that, he was put behind the 8 ball and was bailed out by a caution. So we'll see what green flag stops bring us here. Paul, if you're still with us over there, buddy, well, let's plug some stuff. Tell us some stuff we should know about some supporting sponsors.
Yeah, green flag pit stops, always cool to watch here on Verdane TV. And these guys bringing the action to the racetrack. And it's brought to you here tonight by DoorstopNation.com. Doorstop Nation run by our good buddy Joe, big-time supporter of Verdane TV. All the way back when we were Verdane Racing, running leagues back in NASCAR Racing 2003 season, all the way up through our iRacing days. I think Joe and Doorstop Nation even go all the way back to the NASCAR Heat days here with us. Verdane TV, but definitely check it out, DoorstopNation.com. Look for the button to the Etsy store. You could pick up one of these doorstops. They're only $1. You got to check them out. Big time supporter of the doorstops here. Check those out for sure. And also I've been watching this race here, listening to you guys. Best in the business here in the iRacing broadcasting. The two of you guys. We have a couple drivers coming down pit road. Looks like the 07's coming down here as well. But FamilyPancakeHouse.com. I've been looking at the menu here. I've been trying to put together the best sandwich here. These guys do it all. So breakfast, lunch, dinner. You got mozzarella sticks, wings, coconut prawns. I don't know what a coconut prawn is, but it sounds pretty good. But it's great to have Family Pancake House back on board here for another race as well with these guys in the NEXUS Sim Racing Motor City Legends Series. One more race to go after this one. We're going to be crowning ourselves a champion here, Kyle.
That we are, as we've made mention a few times, Rob Collier is your points leader. He came into this race with a fairly strong points lead over Nicholas Pressey. 1,958 points for Collier, 1,879 points for Pressey. So I like his odds of locking up the championship here tonight. He's been leading a lot of laps. He's shown a very strong car, very aggressive at times, and the way things are going right now, he could very well lock up this championship with a victory here tonight in the DoorstopNation.com at 250. Here we go. Collier and Hendricks going to make their final green flag pit stop of the night. You see them giving each other plenty of space, checking the speeds. Much better for Rob Collier that time. He gets it down to pit road speed. Now it's about execution, Wes. Hit your box, get the car stopped, change the tires, and get out as fast as you can with no mistakes.
Kyle, it's funny. I've been watching these guys pit further in the back. They've been using that inside wall to slow them down a bit quicker, slapping it to get it back down into speed. But stopping in this box is key. You have to really tiptoe yourself in and then tiptoe the way out. It's easy to spin it out. It'll be interesting to see who comes out front here, but nonetheless, they should probably be close enough where they're able to draft. But there's really no threat behind them from the rest of the pack. No strategy really needed here. Just hit your marks, do everything you're supposed to do. Put all four on, fill it up, and out they go. As we see Collier do it flawlessly, the 15 of Hendricks do it flawlessly, and they are off pit road in 1 and 2 and out 1 and 2. Flawless stop by those teammates.
Very nicely done. Much better than that first round of stops they had earlier in the race. They came in together. They're going to come out with each other. And now once the cycle goes through, this should be the battle for the race win. This should, as long as things stay the way that they are, it's going to come down to these two drivers. They're working together well for now. But as I mentioned, they have been very aggressive, the two of them. So they're going to be fighting it out for the win here once it gets down to crunch time.
For sure. All right, Kyle, let's give us a rundown. Give us a rundown what you got going on here. What's the field look like?
So as mentioned, in the middle of green flag pit stops right now, it looks like Collier and Hendricks, they only lost one position. That was to the 48 machine of Derek Miller, who is on pit road at the moment. So those two drivers will fly on by, and they will be 1 and 2. Collier leading Kyle Hendricks in first. Second is obviously Hendricks. Derek Miller currently running in position number 3 as he is on pit road, but he's got a big gap back to Shane Gentry, so I think he's going to hang on to that. Scratch that. You can see right there on your screen, Gentry and Justin Poole will blow on by, so they will be positions number 3 and 4. Miller is going to come up to speed, and it looks like he will be in position number 5 as Bryce Saucier is about 9 seconds behind him as he is working his way off of pit road. You can see Saucier right now coming across the start-finish line. The Lowe's number 48 machine still getting his way up to speed as he exits turn number 2. Currently at the moment, 7 cars on the lead lap. Do want to make mention, after we saw that incident a little while ago with the 10 machine of Kevin Clark, he has pulled it behind the wall and has climbed out of the machine. He is done for the night. So it looks like we currently have 11 of our 15 original starters still on the racetrack with 20 laps to go. So it's a very unique situation here. 2 teammates out in front of the field, all on their own. One of them's the points leader. The other one, not really an opportunity to win the championship. But in all honesty, I think these are the 2 best cars that we've seen all night long. They've been up at the front of the field more than anybody else. They've had a little bit of adversity, the 2 of them. And even through that, they fought back and have gotten themselves back at the front of the field. Now, if you're in their situation, you're just hoping nothing goes wrong. You're hoping, number one, that you don't make a silly mistake to cost your own opportunity, but you're also hoping that the things outside of your control don't come back to bite you. They can't handle the other drivers' cars and the situation that they're all in. They just have to log these laps, do what they're doing right now, and hope that when it comes down to the end of the race, they're still green flagged. They don't have to worry about anybody else, and they can fight for this victory on their own. We're back on board with the 15 machine of Kyle Hendricks. You can see following the 0-2 in his tire tracks, just working together, putting as much distance between him and the guys behind him as they can. The gap the last time by the line was over 17 seconds back to that duo of Shane Gentry and Justin Poole. So, I mean, it's going to be impossible without a caution flag for anybody other than these 2 guys to win. You can see that group here with Gentry and Poole. They also have still that battling duo for the lucky dog position of Matthew Yost and Steven Denton, as now we're going to have a flip-flop for the race lead. Kyle Hendricks will go around Rob Collier, and the 15 machine will go back to the point.
All right, Kyle, watching the 94 Pressy, definitely having a lot of problems there, watching him ride the wall a couple times there, just going through a lot of trouble with that 94 Pressy. He's definitely sealed his fate as he sits on pit road now with really, I guess you're kind of kissing your championship goodbye at this point, having just tons of problems that he was having. But this is what Collier needed. This is exactly what he wanted. I'm pretty sure that he doesn't want to finish second, but if he does finish second here, it's not a loss. It's a gain, and it's going to be a championship underneath his belt. So, early congratulations to him on a successful season. But we still have about 16 laps to go here.
That we do, Wes, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see how well that these 2 drivers have worked with each other. It's amazing to see their comeback throughout this race. And like I said, now you're just hoping things will go your way. Nobody outside of your control doesn't ruin this opportunity. I mean, it would be great for us if we get a caution flag and can see maybe a dramatic super speedway style finish. But at least for these guys, they're doing exactly what they want to. And it's not their job to put on a good show. It's their job to do exactly what they're doing, kicking butt and worrying about nothing but taking the victory for themselves.
And their nearest threat right now, 3rd place, is Shane Gentry. He's doing all he can to push with his teammate Matthew Yost. Those 2 are in a completely different corner than the rest of them. They're just coming off a turn 2. The other ones are coming off 3 and 4. The leaders are. So that's a rough one. I'll tell you that. even if they were gaining, which I don't really think they are. We're gonna watch it at the line here, see if there's a difference. I don't think there's enough time, as the leaders are battling side by side right now. But you have 19 seconds to make up, and man, that's a long amount of time with the laps that are left. As when they come across the line here, we'll get a good idea of what the gap is. But I just don't see them making up 19 seconds, no matter what happens here. The gap didn't change, and that's with these other two riding side by side. So unless we have a caution, it's going to be a 2-car battle here.
And there it is on command. Caution flag is out here with just 15 laps to go. Doing a quick scan of the racetrack to see what the problem could be.
Nothing.
And honestly, Wes, I don't see anything out there, so I'm not really sure why we're under yellow.
I think we need to speak to an admin and get an answer, because there wasn't anything.
And ironically enough, the caution came from Stephen Downton, who's out there racing right now. So
he is also the admin. So yeah, if we can get him in here.
Very interesting stuff right there. Caution, a random caution flag with 15 laps to go. I got to imagine you're probably not too thrilled if you're either Collier or Hendricks at the moment.
Not whatsoever. Let's see if we can drag him in. I want answers. So let's see if we can find Mr. Doughton. There he is. All right. All right, Steve, you got a copy.
Hello.
Hey, just seeing where that this final caution came from. We're trying to find it on the track. What happened?
I think that was a miscommunication. Somebody heard in the broadcast you guys are getting a little excited. Somebody's like, "Oh God, the wrecking!" So I threw the caution button. I'm like, "Where was the wreck?" And everybody's like, "There wasn't one." I'm like, "Well, that fucking sucks."
The broadcast is a little behind. Possibly someone was listening a little behind. We did talk about the 94 bouncing off the wall a bit and going down pit road, but yeah, that's about it. Okay, we were just wondering where it was at. We're trying to find it on the track. All right.
Okay, yeah. Me, I'm just. This is one reason why we're going strictly to iRacing cautions next year, and maybe pay race control.
There you go. All right, we'll put you back up there. We know you got a long way to go. Good luck.
All right, thanks, sir.
All right, and we got word there. Just a little bit of miscommunication. So if I'm in one of those two leading spots, I'm probably a little upset about it. But you know, it is what it is at that point. So I guess we're gonna get that finish.
Yeah, that's a bit of a strange one. I'm not quite sure we've ever seen anything like that here on Vidane TV, but nonetheless, at least on the bright side, we are going to have some excitement and some drama to wrap this one up. We're probably going to be looking at around 10 or 11 laps to go when we go back to green flag racing. Both Collier and Hendricks just came off of pit road in the first and second positions. You've got Shane Tree third, Justin Poole in fourth, Derek Miller in position number 5, coming off of pit road. So, all right, Wes, we've done a lot of racing this week. We're now in the broadcast booth, and we've been in this position with some late race caution flags. If you are one of those guys outside the top two, if you're a Gentry, a Poole, a Miller, you realize how good those top two are. What can you do? What can you try to formulate with some of these guys around you to dethrone them and maybe take the victory for yourself?
Man, I don't know if there's really much that you can do here. Those two are really, really strong. You almost have to make a Superman move, Kyle. We've seen those two do it this race. We haven't seen anybody else try to make those 3-4 wide moves. If you're holding anything back, now is the time to make that move. So, man, if they got more tires, I go down there and get them. If you got a fast repair to still use, I'd keep it in that back pocket if you don't need it, because this might get a little hairy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you're still sitting on that fast repair, it might not be a good time to pull those belts tight one more time, as the good old Larry Mack likes to say, and throw caution to the wind and see if you can't make something happen here. The interesting thing that I was noticing as those guys up at the front of the field were battling and making passes on each other. Do you think maybe that could have been some prep work for the finish? Maybe kind of see what kind of runs they can develop, where on the track they can develop that run, and how quickly they can make that pass?
Yeah, you got to do something to make that pass. I think, but the only thing that I don't think you can wait. If you wait too long for those guys to really get together, you got to do something about it. You got to do something about it early. You can't wait. And if you sit there and wait, you're gonna be in trouble.
So looking at the front of the field, the lights are out on the pace truck. We will get the green flag next time by with 11 laps to go. We'll set the stage for you one more time. As mentioned, Rob Collier, Kyle Hendricks, your top two. The teammates that are working together, great, trying to finish this one out with a victory. Shane Gentry in third, Justin Poole in fourth, Derek Miller fifth. Those are the guys trying to spoil the party. Robert Gast now in position number 6. Matthew Yost back on the lead lap. He is in 7th. Bryce Saucier is 8th. And the last car on the lead lap now, Stephen Downton in position number 9. So we have 9 cars on the lead lap going to try to fight this one out for the victory with 11 laps to go. Wes, are you ready for this? We might be seeing something pretty spectacular here.
Yeah, this is going to be a this is going to be a doozy. Looking at the field here, Kyle, if we look it over, there are 9 cars on the lead lap. The 98 of Steven is 4 laps down. It's going to be a miracle for him to get out on the lead lap. The other drivers are basically that's not even a question for the ones that are still here. I think the only driver that really has shown that he has, what it takes is that 26 of Gentry. He's shown a little bit of aggression. I think that's what it's going to take to get this done. He's going to need some help from Poole. I'm not sure if they're teammates or not, but if they're going to work together, I mean, they're in the same. Gentry and Poole are in the same Discord, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them work together. You got the 07 there, as you're seeing. You got Matthew Yost in that 70 machine. All those drivers got back onto the lead lap as well. So that caution helped out quite a few drivers in that aspect too. So pace truck's down, Kyle. Let's see how it goes.
It's going to be very fun to watch. You can see the field grouping up as tightly as they can. They want to try to keep this momentum going, want to try to keep it, well, maybe as tightly packed as they can here for the final 11 laps. Rob Collier in control of the lead. He is your points leader. He's led a lot of laps tonight, and we are back to green flag action. Up through the gears they go, back up to speed, getting across the start-finish line and heading to turn number 1. Those top 2 starting to separate from the field already.
All the rest of the pack has to really do here is form this line. They're able to form this line. They'll be able to get there without a problem. Let's see if we're able to do so as they are nose to tail forming that line. The 48 machine there right with them of Derek Miller. Derek Miller, I think, is a sole survivor here. I don't see him really teaming up with anybody. We haven't really seen him having any kind of alliance to anybody. He is in the voice chat, though, with these other drivers up front. Not the 2 that are in front of him, but the 2 that are leading. So we shall see, but it's getting to that point where do teammates really matter as we come across 84 to take the lap 85 here?
I mean, you got to think, if you're Kyle Hendricks, you realize the situation that Rob Collier is in. He's got a big points lead. Second place is in points, as many laps down, well over 10 positions behind. If you decided to go for the victory and you accidentally hooked him, you're probably not going to ruin his championship hopes. So it's going to be really fun to see how aggressive these 2 get. Looks like we're starting to form up a pack of 5, a couple cars straggling off just a little bit, trying to stay grouped up with him. Great push by Derek Miller to Shane Gentry all over the back bumper of that number 26, trying to push him by the 24 of Justin Poole as they go into turn number 3. That is still a side-by-side battle. 0 help on the outside with Poole, but he's doing a good job of holding his own and keeping strong with the 26.
The best thing that 26, that 24 could do is team up together, try to break up that duo in front of them of 15 and 2 of Hendricks and Collier, but running side by side right here is not helping, and 48 of Miller just with nowhere to go. He's doing a pretty good job of keeping them side by side. I'll give him that if that was the goal, but he's not able to find his way around them. As the 24 Poole hits the wall, he shoots it, makes it 3 wide. He's going to try to get 2 in 1 shot here as the 26 loses. Somehow the 26 loses the momentum, but the 24 Poole able to catch that draft, shoot it into 3, and stay side by side for 3rd.
Still battling off of turn number
4.
With a wiggle. He is going to lose a couple spots, fall back to 5th, and they'll go in line. Now here comes Derek Miller, looking for position number 2, trying to put himself in between the lead duo here. Collier's going to move up the track to try to pull the 15. That's going to open up the bottom for Miller. Gentry right on the back bumper. They're side by side for the race lead as you ride on board with Derek Miller. getting a drafting push from Shane Gentry, trying to take the lead. He's clear. Look out, Gentry nearly door slams the 0-2.
Hendricks got super loose coming out of turn 2 there, losing tons of momentum as we are 3 wide for the lead. As look at Gentry on the bottom in the 26. Doing it for Dave. Look at him shoot it to the bottom. You heard from his teammate that a family member passed away in a car accident. They have the memorial on their cars. I've been there and done that. I know what that's like. I know what it's like trying to represent that loved one. As you see them on the bottom, fighting that wheel, trying to hold it as the 48 of Miller up the middle has the momentum. 3 wide for the lead going into 1.
Justin Poole all over the back bumper, shoving Shane Gentry into turn number 1. Now Miller will pull up in front of Rob Collier. They're side by side, no longer 3 wide, trying to get some momentum on the exit of the corner up high. The downstairs lane looking good. Collier going to go in the middle. There's contact. Collier up into the outside wall with Gentry. They come back down the track. The 87 is up in the air, and we will go under caution. Cars are flying for here in turn number 3.
Holy Jesus Christ of Lord have mercy. The 9 once again gets absolutely destroyed. Coming out of that is Justin Poole in the 24. No poopy hands for him. His hands are squeaky clean, but the 9 of Stephen Doughton has blown up. Maybe throwing that caution was not the best thing for him. Collier is beat up. The 26 machine looks like an ex-girlfriend of Chris Brown's. Black eyes everywhere. Even let's see if the 98 of Steven got into it. If Matthew Steven may have even gotten it. He did not. He actually got through all that. Man, oh man, Paul's going to bring us the replay. What a ride.
Got to take a look at this one from way up in the sky. There you can see the initial contact from up front, taking care of business with those 3 drivers. The 87 involved loses a tire. The 9 gets involved down here. Agricultural racing in the dirt. Clips the 26 hard into the outside wall. Big time hit there. Lots of drivers losing a lot of momentum. There you can see the points leader, the 02 car of Collier. Big time damage to the front end of that race car. The 9 car we saw, the 87 car crushed up like a Miller High Life can. May very well be done. Might be able to get that thing straightened back out, but holy moly, big time drama here late in this one.
Collier did one of those moves. He shot it up the middle. He did what he had to do. And unfortunately, that's the second time he's done that, and he's created havoc. First time was in the tri-oval, this time entering turn 3. It looks like he used his fast repair. He looks to be good to go now. Car looks scratch-free. Stephen Downton said he still had a fast repair available. And thankfully he did, because he was able to use that there. He comes out of that looking pretty clean now as well. And now the 26 of Gentry needs to now figure out, does he still have the card to go? As we're going to see him come down pit road here, tell you right away if he's used his yet. And it looks like that car is still a mangled mess in his pit box, meaning that fast repair has been used. Tough break for that entire team. Man, that's a rough one. We knew that they were racing for a reason. And all of them except now Justin Poole. Looking back at that, it looks like got away pretty clean. I'll tell you what, I wasn't a fan of the move in the trial, but with this one, it just looks like Collier sent it in, and he just kept on coming down. He shot in the middle as he should have. The 24 was kind of there. 24 bounced off the 26 into the 02, and just around they went. But 24 definitely was able to dodge an accident.
Late race aggression changing the game with just a handful of laps to go. I guess it was a good thing that Stephen Downton didn't use that fast repair after his flip. We're going to take one more look at this. We're going to ride on board with the 24 of Justin Poole. He's pushing Gentry. Here comes Collier. There's contact, and the field in front of him just disappears into the rearview mirror. He's able to escape fairly clean, and now he is out in front of this race as they crashed and had issues behind him. So lights are still out on the pace truck. I would think maybe this time by we get them to shut off. So we're looking at a 3-lap dash to the finish. Taking a quick look to see if we do have any green-white checkers available. I don't see anything in the server information. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see to find out if, number one, we can make it these final 3 laps, and number 2, if we can't, if we're going to go to overtime after the fact.
All right, so here, who's your money on here?
Man, I mean, I'm not going to go off the duo. Kyle Hendricks made it through that mess. He still has a clean car. He's sitting in position number 4. The teammate is just a couple spots behind him. But I think I like what I've seen out of Hendricks a little bit more. Collier's been just as aggressive as what Hendricks has been, but Hendricks has been able to hang on to it. Collier's made a couple mistakes with the aggression, and at this point, if you make one more mistake in that aggression, it is game over. So I am putting my money on the 15 to Kyle Hendricks. He's going to victory lane tonight.
All right, so I'm going to go to the opposite side, and I'll go with Collier there. I figure he's either going to get it done with speed or he's going to get it done with the battering ram. One of the two. He's going to get it done. We've seen him get to the front out of pure speed, and we've seen him kind of plow his way through. It seems like he wants to get to that front. He wants to win this championship and lock it in. And if winning it tonight is what makes that happen, I think he's going to get it done.
So here we go. Lights are off on the pace truck. We will go green with 3 laps remaining. Justin Poole in the 24 machine out in front. Derek Miller in the 48 is second. Matthew Yost in car number 70 is third. Kyle Hendricks in the 15 is fourth. And the 9 machine of Stephen Downton will complete your top 5. Sixth place is the 02 of Rob Collier. Bryce Saucier is in 7th, and the final car on the lead lap in car number 26 is Shane Gentry. As far as we know, I believe the only car with severe damage that may hinder his progress here is that 26 of Gentry. I don't believe there was too many more major incidents in that other than the 9. He obviously took his fast repair. The 87 almost got upside down, but he is off of the lead lap, so we had a crash there, but I think we're still going to be set for multiple contenders to take this victory here tonight.
All right, so the lights are off the pace truck. As you see, we're rocking and rolling. Coming around 3 and 4 here. And Kyle, there's still a long way to go. I'm not sure if they have green, white checkers here or not. It doesn't list it for us if they're running green, white checkers. But if they aren't, this is it. If they are, it's going to just come down to how many green, white checkers they have.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. If we're not able to go to overtime, the next flag will end this race. If we do, then, well, we'll see what happens from there. But me personally, I want to see them run this thing out. I want to see these last 3 laps. This is going to be intense. It's going to be good, and it's in the hands of Justin Poole. 3 to go. Talladega. Who will walk away with the victory? The green flag is now back in the air, and we are racing to the finish at Talladega. A great restart there. A little bit of a bobble out of Derek Miller. That's going to create some separation. Not exactly sure if that's what you're going to want if you're Justin Poole out in front. And here comes Kyle Hendricks making an early move to the inside of Matthew Yost for third, leaving that 70 out to dry with nobody to help on the outside.
As they begin to line up on the bottom right now, Derek Miller is in the catbird seat. What will Poole do here? As now there's 3 wide for second. As on the outside, Yost gets the run. Here comes the big bump from Hendricks. Hendricks holds up a little bit so he doesn't spin him. They stay side by side, 3 wide for second. Nope, now we're going side by side just for second, 2 wide as 3 and 4. And somehow, usually you don't see that, but Poole is able to hold the lead and hold off that first run as they come across the line. It's going to be 2 to go. And there's Hendricks. He bullies his way up into Derek Miller. Derek Miller goes flying up into the wall. 88, the 48 hits the wall as they cross the line. 2 to go.
And here they go. The duo is back together. Collier to the outside of Justin Poole for the lead. Hendricks does not push him around. He's going to go with Poole on the bottom side of the track to try to push that 2. And now they're going to go 3 wide. Hendricks is down on the apron. He's off the pace. He's letting the field go. What is wrong with Kyle Hendricks? He is out of this one. He will not battle for the race win. Rob Collier trying to bring it home. He takes the lead through 3 and 4. Down to the bottom of the track. Can Rob Collier cap off a championship night at Talladega?
Kyle, this is where legends are made. Last lap, white flag in the air as Poole looks to the outside. He is there, but can he stick it? The bottle's going to be open. Will the 9 take it? He will not. Downton will not take it. The 24 of Poole all by himself on the outside. White flag. Is anybody going to go with him? So far, no. Poole all by himself out of 2.
Side by side down the back straightaway. Justin Poole with help from Bryce Saucier. Now Saucier goes down to the bottom. He comes back to the top. Collier comes to the top to block. They're moving all over the racetrack here at Talladega. Collier with a strong run out in front. He's building a gap. Can Doughton get the draft and slingshot his way around and steal this one from Rob Collier? Collier goes to the outside wall. Here comes Doughton looking low. He's going to have to make him move high. Can he get there? He will not. Contact behind Rob Collier. Photo finish at the line. Doughton was able to get underneath. It was not enough. Rob Collier grabs the victory here in the DoorstopNation.com 250 at Talladega Superspeedway, getting it done by 36 thousandths of a second over Stephen Doughton in second, Bryce Saucier third, Justin Poole in fourth, and Shane Gentry, despite that late race damage, will bring home a top 5 and finish in fifth.
Saucier with some contact with the 24 in the tri-oval. 24 of Poole not happy about that contact. Nonetheless, some hard racing there at the end, but there is Rob with the win. Collier able to lock up that championship as well as the win here. What a race here tonight.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Hey, there he is. Hey, here he is in victory lane. Rob, I picked you there to win. You were either going to win by speed or bulldozer. One of the two, you're going to get it done. You made some really aggressive moves up the middle, caused a little bit of calamity, but the one thing that you showed is you weren't afraid to make that move, and that's what you have to do here at Talladega. Explain, just kind of walk us through your race.
So for those watching that just haven't seen my past experience here, or rather with all the bigger super speedways, most of the time I just hang out in the back and just mind my P's and Q's and just make my run at the end. Well, yeah, that hasn't turned out very well for the past 4 or so races and earlier this week in NIS. So I was like, nah, tonight I just want to be out front all night and try to lead every damn lap. For the 3 wide stuff, is like I need to go back and look. It's like a lot of that stuff, like I felt like I had room. I'm not sure exactly if how we made contact there, so I need to go back and look at that. But
Rob, just from my personal experience, these cars just float when you turn them down into there. It's they're easy to make contact with other cars, even when you're not trying. Especially corner entry where you're making these moves happen, which was spectacular to see. And speaking of the change of strategy, sometimes that's what you got to do to make it happen. If the beginning strategy wasn't working, change it up. Tell us what was going through your mind at the time when you saw that late race caution come out. It seemed like you and Hendricks had it locked up, just you two, and then we saw the yellow.
Yeah, a lot of us in Discord were actually trying to figure out what was going on with that. I'm pretty sure SK dropped down. It's like, hey, we heard some stuff on the broadcast and may have jumped the gun there. So we're like, damn. But at the same time, we're like, it's going to end up being a better finish than me and Kyle probably just wrecking each other at the finish there.
Well, you guys put on one hell of a show the entire race here in Victory Lane, as we always do. We want to give you the spotlight to give your thanks, give your hellos, whoever you would like. The floor is all yours.
Of course, like last week, shout out to the wife for letting me do this on Friday nights, and shout out to Kyle. This is the first race he's actually been able to make this entire season, and I'm glad he did. The base of the setup was what we built for the winter NIS for Daytona, and I just made some tweaks to it. It's like whole night I was full throttle whenever I was in the lead, so the car was just stupid planted, and I couldn't ask anything else out of the car. So shout out to him for helping with the base on that, and yeah, that's all I got.
Man, you did one hell of a job. You gave us something to watch. You missed some crazy action behind you in this race. I'll tell you that. My voice is gone. So once again, congratulations there on the run. Congratulations on the whole season and the championship. One stellar job there tonight.
Thanks, guys, and hopefully we'll see you in next season and some of our special events that we're thinking up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was your winner, Bryce Collier, and I believe Kyle is with Downton in the number 9.
That I am, Stephen Doughton, your runner-up finisher by just 36 thousandths of a second. Stephen, we were able to talk to you a few times throughout the race. Where to begin? From upside down to a lap down, back on the lead lap, involved in a late race crash, and somehow through all the adversity, you finish in second by just that
much. How were you able to pull it off?
Well, I had one heck of a car. Kyle and Rob sent me a setup like 6 months ago for an old build for Dega that we used for our special event we had. And unfortunately, the car changed so much. So I spent like 3 days cattywalking the crap out of that car to make it work. And I mean, I had such good speed on the corners. I was able to save my stuff a lot better. I was able to lift in the corners and still be dragged around. It was really just patience. I knew I had a top 3, top 5 car all race long, and woo! And also, so fun fact that everybody knows, I am literally this is like the second plate race I've ever finished in all my league racing ever. I always have bad luck at plate races, so to finish second tonight is a bit surreal. I'm proud of the guys. We had 2 green flag pit stops. That rarely ever happens. So we're glad. I know you guys had a blast commentating this race, and I can't wait to go back and watch it.
We saw a handful of drivers, including yourself, deal with all kinds of adversity tonight, struggling with handling, small mistakes costing big results. Take us through some of the challenges that you had to deal with tonight. Like I mentioned, you were pretty much all over the leaderboard, right side up, upside down. You had a lot to battle back from tonight.
Well, the main thing is with these cars, even though it's a plate track, we're unrestricted. And Rob Collier actually said something a long time ago that kind of stuck with a lot of us, is we need to drive this car like we're driving it at Charlotte. So it's not full throttle all the way around, keep it pinned. There's a lot of, with the handling, there's a lot of lifting and a lot of, throttle control in these cars, especially when you're in the draft. And after about 7 laps, the rear tires are at 300 degrees, so they're baking. So you just got to do everything you can to try to be fast, stay with everybody, but save it. And that's where I was able to kind of battle back, was just being in the right place at the right time, of course, and then just saving my stuff. Which, I still ended the race with an extra set of tires. So that's kind of a different feat in itself, but it's definitely all about, the patience with these cars, saving it, learning throttle control, and knowing the limits to when, sometimes fast isn't always good with these big bulky tanks.
As we mentioned a handful of times here tonight, we're heading into the season finale to next week. No championship opportunity for you, but how can you take this second place finish and end the season on a strong note next week?
Just ending it on a high note. I'm very proud of the guys for the season we put on. We look forward to, stepping up and doing bigger things next year. So I'm very proud of everybody here in the Nexus Sim Racing. We did great things. Rob, Nick were the class of the fields. Matt, Steven also was just, has done really well this year, being winless and being, so tight for third. It's been a heck of a season. So Charlotte should be a pretty big bang, and you're going to see some probably really rough and gruff racing there.
A very eventful night for your runner-up finisher, Steven Dowden. Steven, if there's anybody else that you'd like to thank and give a shout-out, the opportunity is now yours. Feel free, my friend.
Of course, I want to shout out to my lovely wife, who doesn't come up and hit me with the back of a steel chair in the middle of this, because sometimes they get a little loud. Of course, everybody here in the Nexus Sim Racing, all my admins, the drivers that make this go around, we're kind of a big community here. And definitely, Paul, Kyle, Wes, love when you guys come broadcast. It's awesome. So, heck of a job. I want to also thank, Joe at Doorstop and Shane with Family Pancake House for giving us a little bit extra money this year to sponsor these races. So, I want to thank those guys as well. Just glad to have a Mopar in the top 3.
Runner-up tonight in the doorstopnation.com, 250, Steven Dowden in car number 9. It was a night of all sorts of events for him, and now we'll send things on over to Wes, who is standing by with the man who is at the bottom step of the podium, but still a very solid third-place run.
Bryce Saucier, what a race, what a finish, making contact there with Poole coming across the line. You were up and down all over that, the pylon. Then there at the end, you're able to get yourself a top 3. Walk us through your race.
Yeah, it was Rob Collier at the beginning of the race. I was originally, because I'm not in here for points, I was just going to spot for a friend of mine in this race. But Rob Collier offered me a setup to run, so I ran with it, and I got to thank him for that. The car was enjoyable to drive. Had a good time in it. And in the race, I started deep. I forgot to take fuel out of the car for qualifying, and it hurt the timesheets pretty bad, which it led to me having to make up time in the beginning of the race, which fortunately the setup, it was fast, and I was able to get up through the field, and I was running with Rob and Kyle and up at the front, which some of the earlier melees I was able to stay out of because I stayed in front of them. And I had some damage on the car for like half the race when there was a little bit of stack up, and I had to skid, and I got up in the wall, and it hurt the car a little bit, but I got all the optionals done before the last restart, and I had enough speed. I got up to 4th and beat Justin by just a little bit.
It was definitely fun watching you guys race. It was an up and down race. We thought it was going to be a 2-car battle until we saw that caution come out, and that just really flipped the whole deck on its lid. What happened there at the end of the race? We saw a little bit of contact with Wade. What happened there coming to the end?
The car, it was tight behind the 2 cars, and I was really pushing it through the trial when it started getting a little bit upset, and I had to chase it a little bit up the track and got into him, unfortunately. But at least we still finished 3rd and 4th, and we didn't get neither of us got passed.
It was fun to watch you guys race. It was fun from start to finish. One heck of a race. The floor is yours. Give any shout outs, any thanks you would like to give.
Got to thank my team, Nick Pressey Motorsports, Nick Pressey he helps me out a lot with these. He didn't give me the setup tonight, but last week when I finished 3rd, he helped me out with that setup. And Rob Collier for the setup. Stephen Downton puts the leagues on and such, and all you guys for putting the broadcast up.
And we definitely appreciate you putting on the show. And I got to ask, I'm looking at your icon here for your name here on Discord. I'm assuming you're the F1 fan of McLaren.
That came from when we were meant to run a road series, and I was going to do McLaren. So I did this as my icon, and it just kind of stuck.
Well, it's a good icon. It's a good team, and it kind of makes you stand out. And I had to give you a shout out for that. But nonetheless, great job. Great job running 3rd tonight. At any given point in this race, it could have been anybody's race, and you did what it took to get it on the podium. So great job again. It was good to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was your 3rd place finisher. That was Mr. Bryce Saucier in that 7 or that 07. So Kyle, Paul, I'm going to hand it off to you guys. I had a blast being up here in the booth. As usual, I lose my voice calling the with you guys. It's always a blast, but I'm going to say sayonara here. Thank you to all the listeners, all the viewers. Be sure to check out Vidane TV, either on YouTube, either on Twitch, either it's on Facebook, whatever it is. Vidane TV is the place to find premium racing. And if you want your league broadcasted, Vidane TV is the broadcast company call for your league. So I appreciate you guys for having me in this booth as always.
It was definitely an entertaining night, Wes and Paul. I think what I appreciated the most was getting able to announce a race after doing so much racing with this car and track combination over the last few days, to kind of provide the analysis and the information that maybe not everybody that's watching has been able to do, whether they just don't run this stuff on iRacing or if they aren't on iRacing at all. It was really entertaining to watch it from above. We saw so many different things change throughout this race. Domination, shocking mistakes, comeback stories, wild, spectacular crashes, and at the end of it all, the dominating performance won out. Rob Collier gets the victory, locks up the championship tonight. And Paul, when he heads to the Queen City, right here where I'm at, to race at Charlotte Motor Speedway next week, it is all about the victory. Zero championship pressure moving forward.
And that's what brews the entertaining action that we look for here at Verdane TV. These guys putting on a heck of a show here with the NEXUS Sim Racing League, the Motor City Legends. You guys made mention we're going to be crowning a champion next week. Officially, we're going to be finding ourselves a winner for that race at Charlotte as well. Verdane TV taking a couple nights off here on the weekend. Monday night may potentially have a little Liberty City Racing League if we got anything going on there. Wednesday night, Tim's Corner Live returns with, I believe, episode number 82. Crazy to think that we've been doing that for that long. Thursday night, NEP is back with Bristol. And then Friday night, right back here with the NEXUS Sim Racing Motor City Legends Series. For Verdane TV, thank you guys so much for tuning in here tonight. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr., Kyle Young, Rowdy Wesley Hogue, the best in the business on the Verdane TV and on the iRacing broadcast stuff. You got to check us out over on the YouTube, Verdane TV. All of our races on demand, all of our shows on demand. But we will catch you on the flip side. When we do, we are going to be doing it live.